Hey guys, Rogue Nation here with you today, and we're doing a little bit of a different video topic today. Today we're going to be talking about psychology and beliefs, and we're going to use this young man here as a starting point. For those of you who don't know, this is Flaccid Wrangler. He is an anti-auditor, meaning that he specifically takes our videos, offers very little intellectual discussion over them, and puts it up on his channel to grift money, right? And, most of the guys do this. Very few of them actually put any effort into it. Um, it's just a way to make money, right? They saw that people were outraged at us because of us practicing our rights, and they found a way to capitalize on it. In a way, it's what makes America great, right? You see a need and you fill it. So, one of the only issues I have with the fact is that they're misleading their subscribers into believing that what we're doing is wrong, right? And that eventually the whole auditing movement will get shut down. And unfortunately for them, that's never going to happen. Um, you know, Personally to me, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't matter if I'm on YouTube. It doesn't matter if I get paid. I'm done letting the government do whatever it wants, right? I'm just done. It's not going to continue. I'm not going to sit by and not question them anymore, okay? Those days are over. Those days are long gone, regardless if I'm on YouTube or Facebook, or regardless if I'm on anywhere. Regardless if anybody's watching me. I'm always now and forever until the day I die going to keep my local government, at least my local government, if not local and state government, under my watchful eye. It's just the way it is. Um, but people have contacted me wanting to call this guy out, right? Because this guy's a fraud even in his own community. He lied in order to get subscribers and to get people to donate him under, this fairy tale that he wove, that he was a wounded, vet. He served 3 tours in Afghanistan. He said all these war stories in order to get sympathy and have people like him and donate to him. When in fact, the gentleman who's calling us criminals, mind you, has 3 felony convictions and he's got 5 felony charges pending right now. So the guy has more felonies than any other auditor that I specifically know, and yet he's got the gall to call us criminals or drug addicts when in fact it was his drug addiction, the pills, that turned him to a life of crime. He was also indicted on a murder charge that they didn't end up prosecuting, perhaps lack of evidence, but he was the only suspect in it, I do believe. Um, so the guy's just an all around scumbag. But I'm not calling him out to call him out, right? Because let's be honest, the only people he's grifting here are idiots, right? Idiots that believe that what we do is illegal, right? So I don't care that he's grifting these people. I hope he grifts some more, right? They obviously don't need any money because they're too stupid to know what to do with their money. So they give it to this grifter because they can't think. But we're going to get into the reason why they can't think, okay? And again, this is psychology. It applies to everybody. They're not just the anti-auditing community. And we need to be made aware of how our minds work so that way we can negate any issues that may come up, like cognitive dissonance or confirmation bias or the backfire effect, right? One of the things that our loving government never did was they never taught us how to think. They told us and taught us what to think, but they never taught us how to think. That is something that you've had to acquire since you've gotten out of public school. If you haven't sought to actively acquire that knowledge, then you don't have that knowledge, right? A lot of people think, I'm open minded, I'm a critical thinker, but it's very difficult to achieve that status. And you can only achieve that status if you're actively looking to achieve that status, right? So we're going to get into the how and the why these kind of things happen, okay? Now, we know that every time that we talk with trolls, whether it be in the comment section of my videos or for those of you that go over to the troll channels and comment on their videos, because one of the most important things for someone who's interested in actually the truth and what's factual is that we stay away from echo chambers. And I don't mean stay away as completely stay away, but that we don't just congregate in echo chambers, right? That we take our theories, our beliefs, our ideals, and we present them to people who are absolutely opposed to those theories, beliefs, and ideals. And the reason why that is because there's going to be nobody that's going to try to discredit those beliefs, ideals, and theories other than someone else who absolutely does not believe in those ideals, theories, and beliefs. Okay, so they're definitely going to try harder than anybody else to discredit those. So if I have a theory about how something works or about the way something is, and I want to test that theory, I don't test it, with a whole bunch of people that agree with what I agree with. Okay, because there's no testing done there. They pat me on the back, they say, man, that makes sense, great job. Right? I take it to somebody who absolutely does not agree with it, and they say, wait a minute, there's this, and this wrong with this. And so that allows me to go through and say, well, he's not accurate there. Well, he's a little bit accurate there. Maybe I could switch this with this. It allows us to refine our theories, right? Instead of just getting patted on the back and saying, oh man, you're great, you're smart, you got it right. And let's get into what we came to get in here to today, which is belief perseverance. Let's see if this will switch over. And if for some reason, guys, my audio and videos start lagging, I'm gonna say now that I'm sorry, but I'm gonna keep pushing through because this is the second time I've done this video, and the first time it was laggy, so I decided to try again. So this one looks better so far to me. So hopefully we'll get through it with no lag. Now this is a peer-reviewed article on helpfulprofessor.com about belief perseverance. So let's find out about it. It says belief perseverance is a phenomenon in which an individual maintains their belief or attitude even when faced with conflicting evidence or new data. The reason why this is important, guys, when we're discussing law, is because law is ever changing, right? Law is not set in stone. Laws change all the time. And so if we have a belief that something is a certain way, then when new evidence or new data comes into play, especially if it doesn't agree with us, then we tend to dismiss it as false. Right? They'll get into that in here. Let's keep reading. It says belief perseverance means that people tend to maintain their initial ideals or belief despite exposure to disconfirming ideals. This phenomenon is related to confirmation bias, a psychological concept that describes how people tend to give more weight to information supporting their existing beliefs and often ignore the evidence against them. Political bias is an example. A person may search for information confirming their beliefs about certain political issues, overlooking evidence that challenges those views. This is why when you're talking politics and you're talking with someone of a different political view, you can never seem to get to change their mind, right? Because they have that bias, they have that belief perseverance that won't allow them to go ahead and do anything else but, agree with what they already agree with. So, I'm trying to get this up here for a second. Hold on, guys. Alright, guys, sorry about that. I was trying to get this worked up there, but okay, and then we go into groupthink. Groupthink occurs when individuals conform to the opinions held by the majority without considering alternative points of view. We have groupthink on our side just as well as they have groupthink on their side, right? I know you guys still see people in the comments that say, oh, you should have taken the arrest, and that's part of groupthink, right? That's part of a belief that's been in the community for years and years now, right? You have to take an arrest in order to stand up for your rights. Usually it's people that have A, never taken the arrest, or 2, have taken the arrest, but don't continue taking arrests. It's not from guys out on the street doing this day in and day out. Not usually. I've never found anybody able to do that except for Floyd, for whatever reason. I don't know. But to illustrate, Floyd gets convicted, right? Floyd loses lawsuits. So getting arrested is not a 100% sure you're going to win the case, you're going to get $100,000 settlement belief that we should hold, right? But yet it still grabs onto the community, right? Like people still believe that in the community, even though we've shown them, different ways, alternative points of view, I guess you could say. And that's also why people on the anti-auditor side, when we show them information that says, hey, we're allowed to record here or something like this, it doesn't register, right? Because it's already conflicting with what they believe. So as far as beliefs go, they're mankind's greatest learning block, like a writer's block, where the writer can't write. A learning block is something that keeps us from learning. And a belief is just that. It's a learning block. So if you believe one thing, then you won't accept information that goes against that belief unless you understand how your mind works, right? So even though I believe that I have the right to record in public, if somebody presents me with evidence that goes against that belief and I automatically dismiss it, I say to myself, I need to go and research what this person said, right? Again, that's why I go to the troll channels, because they always tell me, oh, you can't do this because of this, this, and this. I go and I look that information up, and then I see if it's relevant or not. Okay? It's also why I try not to believe a lot of stuff, right? I've talked with my wife about this topic, plenty. And she says to me, she says, well, can you not believe anything? And I told her, I said, no, I don't think that's an issue. I think the issue is having a belief in something that impacts your life, right? So, for example, I believe the grass is green outside, right? Now, that could be a lie that we've been told all of our lives because we don't know. Every piece of information that we get comes from another man or woman somewhere down the line, right? All the information we get is from someone else. Everybody has a bias, right? So, is the information that we've received correct? I don't know, right? But in some cases, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if the grass is green or if it's really magenta. Doesn't matter. Doesn't affect my life in the least. So it's okay to believe that. It's okay to believe the sky's blue. What it's not okay to believe is that the government loves you and only wants to do what's best for you, right? That's a belief that will negatively impact your life, okay? That cops are just there to help you, that they would never hurt you, that if you called 911 because someone was trying to break in your house, they wouldn't show up and shoot your dog and kick you in the head while they're handcuffing you because they think that you're the suspect instead of the guy that you actually called on, right? So we have to be wary about what we believe and how it affects us. And if it's important, if it affects our lives, then we should have hypotheses, theories, ideals, right? Because those can be changed. Whereas a strongly held belief, is almost impossible to change, right? So these things are important. If we want to move ahead, not in just, changing how these people do their jobs, right? And make sure that they're not robbing us. We have to get on that same level as they are because they're all at that level. They know this information, right? This is public information. You can look at it. Look, I'm looking at it right now online. You're looking at it right now online. This is public information. Okay? We need to understand it. We need to understand how this stuff works. Right? That's what the government set up school for. Okay? Because before government set up public school, people knew how to think. Right? Because other people taught them how to think. Okay? The training used for 2,000 years was called the trivium method and the quadrivium method. Okay? And those taught people how to think. Okay? They didn't teach what to think like they do now. They didn't set a book in front of you and say, read this chapter 3 times and you're going to take a test on it at the end to make sure you remember what you read. Right? That's not teaching you how to think. That's teaching you what to think. Right? And they beat it in your head over and over and over and over and over again for 12 long years. And that forms core beliefs. Okay? Beliefs that we hold deeply that other beliefs spring off of. Right? Core beliefs. So they put these in our head and it tells us what to think, but it doesn't tell us how to think. And this is an easily understood phenomenon because when I say this, you folks are all going to recognize it. When people want to learn something new, what do they say? Do they say, I'm going to go grab a book at the library and learn a new trade or learn a new field? They don't do that, do they? No. because they can't think. They don't know how to think. What they do is they say, I'm going to go back to school. I'm going to go back to school and have somebody teach me how to do something, right? And then you look, and then you see that what they're taught is out of a book. And you could buy that book yourself, and you can read it, and you could teach yourself. But very few people do that. They don't even say that, right? What do they say? I'm going to go back to school. Which, if it's a hands-on, occupation like brain surgery, that makes sense. But most occupations, most things that people go back to school for, they learn from a book. And they pay some guy 40 grand a year, or however much tuition is at whatever school you're at, to sit up there and read the book and explain the book to them. Why? Because people can't think. They were never taught how to think. Okay? So we have to realize that. We have to do more and understand more, right? And the first part of understanding anything is understanding your mind, right? Because if you don't understand your mind, the research you do about any topic is going to be driven by confirmation bias, right? Where you tend to give more weight to information supporting your existing beliefs and ignoring the evidence against them. This phenomenon can lead to a bubble of information where individuals only accept views that confirm their opinions and ignore conflicting perspectives. In extreme cases, belief perseverance can create an echo chamber effect where individuals only communicate with others who share similar beliefs, creating a cycle of reinforcement and entrenching these biases further. Which is what I was saying about taking your ideals and going somewhere where people do not agree with what you think, right? Because if you take your ideal to a group of people who think the same way you do, they're just going to pat you on the back, right? They're going to agree with you because they already agree with you. But if you take it to someone who does not agree with your theory, you're going to get a much more honest look at your theory, your hypothesis, than if not, right? And that's why they peer review scientific studies. That's why this paper that we're reading is peer reviewed. Because this information is known. Okay, they've kept it from us, but this information is not hidden. It's out there. We just have to want it. We have to crave knowledge. We have to get back to where we crave knowledge, right? Some people, when they get off work, they're like, man, I can't wait to go home and get a beer and pop in front of the boob tube and watch the Steelers. We have to go from that to saying, man, I just picked up a new book. It's going to help explain how society was started. I'm really interested in it. I'm going to go home and, get a, glass of water and sit down and read for that for about an hour. We have to want it. We have to crave it, right? We have to be better than these other people. If we want to make changes in our society, if we want better policing, if we want better government, then we have to understand why we don't have that in the first place. And the reason we don't have that in the first place is because nobody cares. They've dumbed down society into an unthinking, unfeeling, you're with me or against me mentality. That just doesn't care, right? They only care about, what they care about. Their guy that they're voting for. They only care about their issues that they, are experiencing, a lot of times you'll find people that are, passionate about one thing, and meanwhile they leave all other kinds of stuff that are just as detrimental to the side, right? Like for the people that are always like, we need to get rid of guns, think of the children. I'm always thinking to myself, think of the children? Are you crazy? You sit your kid in front of a TV 8 hours a day, playing Nintendo or whatever, or Facebook or whatever, and then you feed them processed crap with food dye in it, and then at night you soak pillow that they're inhaling those fumes all night. How does this make any sense? And the only way it makes sense is because people don't think, right? They just don't think. They don't take the time to think. Hey, I get it. Life's busy. We all got stuff we got to do, right? But the simple fact of the matter is there's got to be a starting point to a better life, right? And that is understanding our minds. Once that's complete, everything else will fall in line. You won't need school to teach you. You won't need to go back to school to learn something. You won't be mystified about information coming to you because you'll be able to decipher fact from fiction, right? As it is now, people can't even decide what's true and what's not, Is the guy on the TV, on the news, is he telling me a lie or is he telling me the truth? It's crazy. It's crazy what's being seen. Now, I'm not going to go through all of this, guys. This is a long and lengthy paper. I will leave a link in the description for this, along with some other stuff like the backfire effect and a video called Century of the Self. I can't stress enough how important this is psychologically. And I can't stress enough how much you can see it in communities like the anti-auditors and the Flaccid Dangler over here. Because when they found out, see, I'm starting to lag again for some reason. Okay, I'm not lagging now. I'll just leave it right there. When they found out about Flaccid Dangler, how he's a criminal, stolen valor, whatever, it split their community in half, right? Because some of those guys obviously, felt betrayed. Here it is. Here's this idiot. As you should, right? Because this guy told you he was a war vet, he was a war hero, and he had all these injuries from war, and he's just an all-around American boy. And come to find out, he's a drug addict, murdering supposedly, criminal, stolen valor moron. And it split their community. And you're thinking to yourself, if this guy's done all this stuff and it's documented, right? Like his crimes are documented. You could see. Hold on, I gotta cough here for a second. I don't want to cough in your ear. So if you can see all this guy's crimes, and for some reason we're froze again. Okay, there we go. We're back. If you could see all these guys' crimes, and he's admitted to these crimes, and he's admitted to the drug addiction, and he's admitted that his war stories were fake, and if he can admit to all that, why would anybody still support the guy, right? And again, the reason is because these people are too tied up in their belief of him, right? So any information that goes against their belief that this guy is a great guy and blah, 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 then they're going to dismiss it as false. And that's exactly what they did. And that's why this community here is split now, because you got idiots on both sides. I talk to them all the time. They're all idiots. 95% of them are idiots. I'll say that much. Even the lawyers that they have on their side, idiots. Um, and none of these guys can think. You could tell it when you're talking to them. You know, when they say stuff. Um, it's just terrible. But the majority of Americans are just like these people. They have different beliefs, right? Just like these guys, but with different beliefs. And I've seen some of that in our community, and I want it to stop. I want people, and again, it's not how you think. I don't want you to think like me. I just want people to think, right? Because the truth is going to be the truth, no matter what, right? No matter what you think, what he thinks, or what she thinks, or they think, the truth's a steady line, right? And if we get our thinking in line with the truth, then we're going to think the same way, right? It's just the way it is, because the truth is the truth. So, like, for example, the sky is blue. I think that, you think that. Doesn't mean you think like me. It just means we both know the truth, right? So, again, guys, I could go on forever with this kind of stuff. I don't even know if anybody's interested in this kind of information, but I thought I'd put that out there. And plus, I wanted to shout out to this moron. People have been asking me again to shout him out, but I told him, I said, it's not because I care that he's grifting these morons over here, because I don't care about them, right? These guys want to see me in jail. They want to try to take down my videos. They think I'm a scumbag, right? While they're watching this guy with more felonies than me, a bigger drug addict than I would have ever been in my life, and someone that's going around stealing valor off the backs of, U.S. soldiers that actually fought and got injured in those wars. Um, you know, so I had to say it. I had to do it. Um, I hope this information that I presented is welcomed, understood, and applied. Um, because it is. It's the most important thing that we could learn is our mind. So with that said, I'll get this posted. I'll put in the links, and hopefully you guys will leave comments and let me know what you think about the video today. Thanks, guys. Oh man, the cops are out there. Do you guys have some place I can hide?
No, sir, we don't hide people.
No? Oh man, there's got to be a place I can hide.
No, sir.
No? What about behind the counter?
No, sir.
I'm just playing with you. I'm not hiding. You guys are cracking me up.